So, Joshua Tiemans, apparently there's a guy named Tiemans out there, asks, Bill, do you ever wish you could take the Founding Fathers into the future and take them on a tour of present-day America? That is an interesting question, Joshua, because I've occasionally thought about the Founding Fathers, but it's not usually them. I usually think about bringing people into the future, and the two people the three people, I suppose I should say, I think about the most are I've often just idly sat in airports or wherever and thought, I wish the Wright brothers could see this. Now, one of them, of course, did. I can never remember which one was it. Was it Orville who lived a long time? Yeah, I think that was it. Wilbur was the one who died relatively young, of scarlet fever or something. I probably got it backwards. I've often wished I could take the Wright brothers and bring them just to the Hertz rent-a-car here in L.A. and have them stand there while a 747 flies right overhead and just have them see it. Because the great thing about the Wright brothers is it's hard to see freedom, it's hard to see the rule of law, but man, you see a fully loaded jumbo jet screaming over your head at 200-300 feet. This city of aluminum overhead, flying under control and safely doing it for 12, 13 years now without a major fatality in an American carrier, major American jetliner. And to see the intricacy of the web of it and think about all the people that had to be involved. So the Wright brothers come to mind quite a lot. And the other person I keep wanting to bring back is Mark Twain, mostly because I'd like to talk with him and hang out with him. I'd like to see what he has to say about these things. I think on one hand he would be unsurprised by much of what shocks us today. I think he understood the kind of fundamental ludicrousness sometimes of human nature. But I've often wanted to see his reaction to things. I've often felt terrible about the fact that, so much of his life got so bitter towards the end. He was so angry at God and angry at everything else. His son was taken from him shortly after birth, and he had 3 daughters, and he had an actual family life there for 10 or 12 years, and then one of the daughters died, and then his wife died, and then another daughter died on Christmas Eve, died of epilepsy in a bathtub in his house. And he just got so angry. And I think one of the things that makes me think about bringing Twain into the future is it looked a little bit into what killed all of his family members and ended up killing him too. And it's nothing for us to fix today. Nothing. It's just routine hospital visit probably would have solved all of these things. In fact, when I was reading about his life and all of these hardships and things, I actually realized not only would a hospital have saved his life, but a veterinarian would have saved all of his family, almost certainly. That's a hard job, by the way, being a veterinarian. You're a full-on doctor and your patients can't tell you what's wrong. That's a remarkable job they do. But, things like that just really put things into perspective for you, just how far we've come. I mean, I had an awful lot of dental work done just a few weeks ago, 6 or 7 hours of it. And as a guy who's been fully conscious for 5 root canals and had more Novocaine shot into his gums prior to that work day back in late December than he particularly wants to count, I'm very grateful to live in a time when there's Novocaine. And in the last particular case, I just sat in a dentist chair, in a comfortable padded chair, and they brought me a little paper cup with this kind of brownish liquid and said, knock it back. And I said, okay. And he said, you should start feeling something in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I remember feeling, my eyes feel a little gone, out. Next thing I know, I'm done. 6 hours later. Anesthesia, my friends, is a blessing. I remember Stonewall Jackson muttering, what a blessing or what a mercy, one of those things, just muttering it when they gave him some ether because he had to take his arm off. This is just before he died, probably of pneumonia. So anesthetics and all these other things. As far as the Founding Fathers go, though, Joshua, I'd like to bring them back, and and give them a tour of America. You know, it's funny. I think even 10 years ago, I would have said, give them a tour of America and just be so proud to show them everything. Show them the Apollo launch pads down at Kennedy, and show them, the space shuttle, and, take them up to the International Space Station, let them look down on America from orbit, tell them there's flags on the moon, tell them we've sent probes to interstellar space, just pride, 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 pride. And now when you ask the question today, my first response is, I don't know if I could face them, honestly. How do you explain that to them? How do you explain all the loss of these liberties to them? It'd be lovely if we could say, yeah, I'm so, they had more guys than we did, Ben and George and John and, Paul, almost Paul, John, George. It's a shame there's not a founding father named Ringo. That would have been really awesome. But how do you explain to them that it wasn't even... we didn't fight and lose. We just didn't fight. We just sat here while all these things just got eroded away. That's a hard thing to say. That's a hard thing to face for them, I think. So I think if I were to bring the Founding Fathers back today, I think what I would do is give them a quick little airplane tour of the capital and the country and show them a couple of nifty things. And then I would sit down with them and say, you need to take the qualifying clause out of the Second Amendment, not because we don't understand it. We do understand it. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people think this well-regulated militia thing means you have to have a well-regulated militia. We know that's not your intent, but that's how it's being misinterpreted. And they would laugh at us. They say, well, who could possibly interpret it that way? I said, well, you can breed a lot of idiots with enough prosperity. So there'd be that. I would warn them that the preamble would be used as legal precedent. I would warn them, and they would say to me, that's absurd. The preamble to the Constitution is simply a rhetorical device. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Please sit down. That's what the preamble is. When we start allocating powers to Congress and to the presidency, that's where the Constitution means business. And if I tried to explain to them that, no, there's a line in the preamble that says, provide for the common welfare, which means we can tax people for anything, selectively tax some people and not tax others, give some money from some people to others, and spend far more than we ever take in. It means there's no limit on congressional spending or power. If they'd said that was all part of the general welfare in the preamble, they would have laughed, and we would have had to say, no, I know you tried to make it idiot-proof, but you're not making it. You can make something foolproof, but you can't make it damn foolproof. We got a lot of damn fools out there, and the Commerce Clause. I would say you need to say the federal government, the states, and the people. And you got to be a little clearer about that. They never wrote anything. The miracle of the Constitution is that if the Constitution is followed to the letter, basically, if it's followed to the clear intent of the Constitution, we don't have any problems. They didn't miss anything. People said, what constitutional amendment would you put into place to fix these things? I said, the constitutional amendment I would add to fix these things is that you have to read and follow the Constitution, period. They understood this. They got it exactly right. They got it. This is why I have religious feelings about the Constitution. They got it exactly correct. And all we have to do is listen, but we don't. So, yeah, Commerce Clause, all this nonsense. So anyway, I do wish I could bring them back. I'd be a little ashamed of myself. Maybe I'd have to wear a bag over my head.